Sachin, thank you very much for joining us. So, what have you been up to before I ask you the other questions in the last 10 months?
I'm the president of the party in the state, and we have a lot of work to do to rebuild the party, and we are in opposition not just in the center but also in the state legislation. So we are building the party from ground up. It's a lot of work to regain the party cadres' confidence and keep the spirits up, and we've won some local elections, so that's added to it. So last 10 months have been for me quite rewarding because I think my hard work is paying off to some extent.
And what are the 2 or 3 key lessons that you've learned from the reverses that you've had, particularly at the local level, if you were to look at what...
Well, I think this country, and Rajasthan as part of it, has changed dramatically. There is a paradigm shift now in what people expect in terms of aspirations, expectations, policy making, response of government. The sensitivity issue, the quotient is very high. So one has to keep those realities in mind before you launch on a campaign or you try and fight and win elections. And the Congress party, I think, over the last 130 years has been quite good at adapting itself. And we have to be competitive. At the same time, being an opposition gives you the freedom to be very vocal about many things that perhaps while in government we were, in the elbow room wasn't all that much.
What are the things that you sort of picked up and perhaps you'll do differently or are doing differently already?
Well, I think losing an election is not the end of life. It's certainly time for you to look inwards into what you stand for, what your values are, and how do you structure, organize and manage a political organization. All these are very key issues which sometimes every political party needs to ask itself, to keep reinventing itself. And I think with the younger people, the Congress needs to do a lot more to really to endear itself to the younger generation of Indians. And people in this country, 3/4 of which are young people, need to be able to understand what Congress party stands for in the 21st century background, not what it was before independence and what we stood for the freedom struggle. So that transition has to take place, and we have to do it from within. And we are doing it in Rajasthan as president of the party. I'm giving a lot of young people responsibilities, making them, make them the taskmasters and judge them on their performance, because merit and performance should be the only way to reward political activists. And it's a change of culture, it's a change of atmosphere. So these are things that we've tried to inculcate in the last 8 to 10 months.
Let's say if I were to ask you about one thing that you're doing differently now in the region that you are present in, or in the region that you're sort of working most on, versus what you were doing earlier, what would it be?
One is that now in the Congress party and as president, we have to reach out to people. You don't think people come and knock at your door. We have to go and make ourselves available and see how we can join issues with them. What are the problems that they're facing and how can we be the catalyst for their resolution of those problems to make the governments...
If you could illustrate that?
The state of Rajasthan, the crime rate is very high. There were 3,200 rapes in the last 12 months, and this is a police record. Now, it's a feeling of insecurity, women aren't feeling safe, tourism has come down because of the rapes, etc., eve-teasing with foreigners, etc. These are issues that people don't talk about very much, but we believe that we must make the government answerable for that, because we have a woman who's a chief minister, she was also the home minister for 7 months, and when rapes are happening and with blatant, in daylight these things are occurring, those issues of law and order, of farmers, issues of people not being able to access basic amenities in life, how can we be their voice? Because as opposition, it's our job to ask those very important questions to the party and government.
You're saying you're picking up some of these issues in far more aggressively than perhaps you would have done it in the past.
I won't say aggressively, but more pragmatically. We are not making philosophical statements, we are not making big long promises and speeches. We are certainly saying that we will make sure the government is accountable and we can be your voice to do that. But for that, you have to win their trust and credibility, and you can only do it by being with people. You can't sit in Jaipur or in Delhi and then just email people and say, well, now I'm your friend. You've got to be able to sweat and bleed with them in a time of need. And once you are with people, you get their confidence and their blessings, and then political dividends are an outcome of that process.
And you're getting a sense that if you were to keep going down this path, working closely with people in your region, you would be able to endear yourself sufficiently to, let's say, have a strong go at the next election that you might fight.
We are a political party and we are here to get people's vote to be able to serve them. Now, I won't be as pompous as to say that, yes, we will score the next electoral victory, because we've lost very badly. When I took charge, the circumstances were such that we had never got as low a number in the assembly as we had. We had 20 out of 200. That has never happened in independent India. we lost all parliament seats by huge margins. So at the time when I took charge, it was a pretty desperate situation. So we've come a long way since then, but I still think we have a lot of hard work to do, and we have a lot of catching up to do in terms of political work. But I'm very hopeful. But I think it's a bit wrong to take things for granted and to say, well, because I'm going on this path, 4 years later, my party will be in power. It most certainly will be my endeavor to do it, but I don't think one can.
But you're also sort of calibrating yourself for a long battle. I mean, which is good, I guess.
I think there are no small battles in politics. If it's a battle about the people, it'll have to be a long one because there is no shortcut to success except hard work. One has to really work hard to be able to be successful.
Right, that's nice to hear. So, and let me sort of ask you for a small report card of the last 10 months that you've sort of seen this government, which I heard you saying came in with a lot of flourish, promises, rhetoric. Expectedly, not all of that was expected to convert into action, but there still seems to be a gap. But let me sort of ask you to list it out. There's an economic report card and there's a social report card. How would you rate the 10 months of the Modi government?
See, in terms of policy making, a lot of the announcements that we see today are not totally brand new ideas. I mean, they've been there in our government. They've perhaps been, there's more ad spend on the marketing. For example, Digital India was launched when I was minister in the IT department, and skill development program was launched by Dr. Manmohan Singh 4-5 years ago. So these aren't brand new ideas. These are necessary tools for India to be able to take on the 21st century challenges. In terms of what the BJP had promised before it came to power, I mean, that's a very long list. If you look at the speeches that I've heard some of the members make, even our Prime Minister today, when he was the PM candidate, the speeches that were made about 100 days, black money, 6 lakh crores will be brought back, 15 lakh rupees in every family's account will be deposited, we will eradicate corruption. I mean, he's lucky that the oil prices have tumbled to 1/3 of what they were when we were in government, but that does not ensure the long-term longevity of policy making. I think the fiscal deficit is not what it was. Mr. Jaitley tried to do whatever best he could, but I don't think he's been successful. So there are a lot of issues that were committed, and the promises that were made, perhaps in the whole charged up atmosphere of campaigning and winning the election at any cost. I mean, promises were made about jobs. India needs 18 million new jobs every year just to sustain the current level of unemployment. Okay. Now, Make in India is a good slogan, but Make India will happen in states. And states are run not by the BJP. That's why in the upper house in Rajya Sabha, BJP has no majority. Now these states have to be taken on board. You have to have a UP and a Bihar and a Bengal on board for Make in India to really take shape. You can't do it by diktat of a policy making in Delhi. It's a great slogan and it reads very well in the Wall Street Journal, but how much of it will actually take effect on the ground it remains to be seen.
I'm just trying to understand. So on the scorecard, where are you?
I think it's too early to give points on scorecards because 10 months not that long a period, but the signs suggest that this government is not that interested in having a consensual approach. It's not interested in taking parliament along. It's happy to issue ordinances. It's happy to dictate with a stick as to what needs to be done. But getting a majority in parliament is not the be all and end all of democracy. You need to have people's concerns on board, and our social fabric has taken a beating. I mean, I think the level of insecurity, the kind of incidences that have happened, the kind of rhetoric you hear some of the BJP leaders talk about, like Mr. Sakshi Maharaj or Yogi Adityanath, the kind of rabid statements they make, it's a bit uncomfortable to hear that. And what is more disconcerting is that fact that nobody from the leadership position is actually going out and saying, no, this must stop, this is absolutely wrong.
What about again, you talked about Make in India. You're allowing for the fact that this thing could take time to play out. Some of the acceleration that's happened perhaps on the skills side, on Digital India, could actually deliver some kind of dividends.
I think we can have growth, but my worry is that it should not be a jobless growth. You can't have just one sector of our economy doing well and that does not create many jobs. Make in India is a good manufacturing platform because the factories won't be put up in New Delhi, right? They have to be put up in states, and the states control a lot of the land, a lot of the environment issues, a lot of clearances, and all of that has to be, because you can't have a slogan which will not translate into tangible action results on the ground unless the states come on board. And the last 10 months are very clear in telling the world, telling India at least, that the politics will dictate the relationship between the state and the center.
What will your three things be that you will be sort of watching like a hawk?
One, they have said 6 lakh crores of black money will be brought back into India. 100 days ka kaha tha unhone, 300 days have already gone over. We will ask those tough questions. They talked about eradicating corruption from the grassroots. with the magic wand that the 56-inch chest, that chest thumping bravado will make that corruption go away. We're waiting for that to happen. And quite frankly, this whole concept of Acche Din, I don't know, I travel quite a lot in Rajasthan and other parts of India. I don't feel, forget about me as a politician, I don't find the common person in India satisfied with getting the kind of Acche Din that were promised when the campaign was happening. And this is not a politics of opposition for opposition's sake. I'm saying if tangibly, if people's lives have improved, I'll be happy to accept it. But we haven't seen that in the last 10 months. So far, my worry is that the world is viewing India as a country that's becoming increasingly more intolerant. And that goes back to the social side of it. And these things have a very long-lasting effect in the psyche of people. And we need to give people that comfort that everyone is equal and will be protected. There are some elements in the Sangh Parivar which make things quite awkward for most of us. I think the elections in Rajasthan are due in 3 years and 10 months' time. And time is flying by faster than I thought it would. But for me, the real idea is to make the organization robust enough to take on the BJP when the time comes, to make people have the confidence that they can win elections. And by the way, when Mr. Modi had just become Prime Minister, people thought the BJP is invincible. I mean, they had won Maharashtra, they had won Jharkhand, and they were on a roll. And we had by-elections in my state and 4 seats. Yeah. And all 4 MLAs became MPs. That's why those elections were held. Out of those 4, we won those 3 elections. I mean, I think for me, personally, that's the most satisfying aspect of my having worked in those areas, because we showed that if you don't deliver, people will vote you out.